Hey, it's LT Lawrence Tibbetts, and I wanted to lay this down, probably YouTube, for the generations to come, because I'm going to claim that somebody out there might care. Somebody might care. Hey, thank you for being with me, and what am I documenting? What am I laying down in history concerning me, LT Lawrence Tibbetts? I'm documenting my love, my passion, my first love for radio, the industry of radio broadcasting, and a passion lifelong for me, and it's evolved, and you get what you get. But I wanted to go back to like when I was 10 years old and identified this passion in me, and I think that's where it starts. 10 years old, in my bedroom, and thinking, as I always had the radio on, always enjoyed music, but radio, and it just sparked me to think, does this guy get paid? Does this guy get paid for this? He's playing music, he's talking every once in a while on weather, news, whatever. Does this person make money? This sounds like fun. This sounds like fun. And I really believe that was like 10 years old. And by 12, sharing that with my parents, mom and dad, but certainly mom, and just said, hey, man, I'd like to learn more. This sounds interesting. And great mom. And she took an interest in that, and I guess we had conversations, but at some point, she was making phone calls. In Richmond, Virginia, I grew up in Richmond, one brother, but mom was willing to make a couple of phone calls to some radio stations, and I guess I helped her with that discussion, what I was listening to. So she called a top 40 AM station, I know, old, WLEE 1480, top 40 in Richmond. I think by that time we had moved. We had been in Henrico County, but we moved to Chesterfield County. So she was communicating and saying, hey, my son, age 12, has an interest, he thinks, in radio broadcasting. Any chance that he could talk to somebody? And this is still amazing, but a lot of stories in radio go like this. And someone said, yes, Ken Curtis, program director for WLEE. Back in the 80s, Ken Curtis. And I went over there. So here's the deal at WLEE, my start. So Ken Curtis said, I'm sure we had talks or answering a lot of questions, but he said, hey, there winter storms. It is so hectic around a radio station. If Lawrence can get here, and at some point I was bringing a friend, if Lawrence can get here, he can camp out a day or two, or 3, probably 2 days. If he can get here, he could help us answer the phones per cancellations, all that goes on. And that would be a help. He'd be safe. So we did that. A friend and I, Tim, dropped off at the radio station. I remember one time in the Volkswagen Bug. My dad was taking me to WLEE to do that. It was snowing inside the car. I swear. It was snowing inside our Volkswagen Bug. And the roads were a little bit treacherous, but my dad got me there. He got home, and I was there for a couple of days. So then I would also go sometimes on remotes just to hang out. WLEE 1480 had this giant RV, bubble RV, gorgeous, big time. And they did a sponsorship with Tasty Cake, maybe coffee in the morning tour. And they go to shopping center, they go to business areas. And on the way to work, people would stop by, get a free Tasty Cake, get a cup of coffee. That was fun. I remember that tour as part of my beginnings at WLEE 1480. Talked to DJ, began some friendships with DJs. Hey, I'm dropping names, right? Ken Curtis, Tom Kennedy, Jim King in the mornings, a couple that I remember. And so that was the start. That was the start. And then we'd hang out at remotes, and again, they were very courteous to us. We might get lunch or something, but all that. Next up, Go 16, WGOE, Go 16, oldies, beach music in Richmond. Same kind of deal. My mom initiating phone calls. And this was Barry Kaufman, the owner, saying, okay, okay. But I think I walked in that station to become, or soon thereafter, Gomer the Gopher from Go 16, the radio mascot. The radio mascot. And 20 years later, we still had that head, that suit for Gomer the Gopher in our attic. Did some pictures, but at some point, as it happens, Gomer the Gopher mascot suit, I guess it went to the dump. Sad, sad. Okay, so WGOE. I think maybe I started running Sunday morning programming, like 6 a.m. to noon, running the board. Maybe I did weather, not even sure. And so I did that. Big introduction, diving deep at 15, 16 years old into oldies and beach music. Love it still to today. And it was 60s, it was 70s, 50s some. Beach music, though, took off in my life, and as I was hanging around it, we had big beach music festivals in the summer, spring, summer, and where are some of those? Where are some of those? The Tams, the Embers, Bill Dill and the Rondells, Catalina's, Budweiser sponsorships for the event, or maybe for the Embers. That was fun. Guess what? There was a lot of beer around, a lot of alcohol around. No, I think I can say did not partake. And yeah, that was a good time. Are we dropping names there? Barry Kaufman at Go 16, Steve Leonard, Mr. Beach, who has passed. Jack Alex was a program director a certain period of time while I was there for WGOE. Jack Alex, he was the voice, and he did the show, nationally syndicated, at least regionally and nationally, Rock and Roll Roots Radio. So Jack Alex. And Barry Kaufman, the owner, still friends, need to call him. He had okay. So he lived near the station, so we'd go home, we'd have lunch together. He answered a lot of my questions. He stirred my interest in NPR. He stirred my interest in classical music, some jazz. During lunch, we'd listen to music. Just really enjoyed him. He spent a lot of time with me, and maybe Tim. He got to know my family pretty well. He also was into sailboating, and my brother and I, Tim once, and so forth, we took trips on his sailboat. So, just the best guy in the world. We take out East Coast trips, different towns and different islands. That was fun. And a big commitment to me and learning. So yes. Eventually that station was sold. I was the last one on the air as the station was sold to Bishop Willis, Love 100, that I knew later down in North Carolina. But Bishop Willis bought that station, WGOE. I was the last DJ on the station as they took over. Maybe the Embers, Catalina's next record or sermon was from Bishop Willis, and Willis Broadcasting was his group. So yeah. At some point, yeah, I made an hourly wage for some of this stint at WGOE, but I also would be paid in trade. I remember Barry took my whole family out. Omar Steakhouse, classy courses. They served courses, 3 or 4. Took my whole family. This is something we would not have been able to do. But we went to Omar's Steakhouse. Gorgeous, wonderful, delicious meal. And I'll remember that my entire life. And again, at that time, $200 meal for us or whatever. And that was big time. Big time, I tell you, for the Tibbetts going out. So he did some neat experiences for us and for my family as related to that. So yeah, Black Gospel came in, and they didn't keep me on. They didn't keep me on. But let me see. Next, going to Virginia Tech comes about. Early on, guess what? I was told I did not have a Rick Dees, Casey Kasem voice. Do something else full-time and keep your passion in radio part-time as a side interest. So that's what we did. And let me see, this is part 1. Why don't we make this part 1 and then we'll come back to it. Part 2, my history in radio broadcasting, my first love, passion of my life, still documenting this. All right, so I think I go to Virginia Tech. I'm going to study marketing education. Eventually I get there. I think it was business at first, marketing education. I'm going to be a teacher. And scared me to death, but okay, I'm going to be a teacher. But I was committed to WUVT, AM and FM, the radio station on campus, Virginia Tech. Probably more AM station than FM, but eventually the FM. And gosh, enjoyed that experience. I wasn't quite as involved in that as I probably should have been, but I had day shifts. Again, everybody had a day shift, and there were 50 of us, so you might once a week or whatever. Enjoyed that experience. I remember on the AM, we used to sound effects. We used the sound effects of a helicopter, me and a friend of a helicopter. And on Friday night, Saturday night, we'd be flying around Blacksburg, party searching, looking for parties. A helicopter, neat. And some people remember that. I remember that. So yeah, we were so edgy back then. But that was a great experience. All right, so I'm at UVT, and I'm sorry, 5 pages here. I'm trying to keep track of the history and the dateline. Then at some point in my college years, I went to Christiansburg down the road, 10 minutes, and I guess I applied or they found me. I think I probably applied, and WFNR, Super 710 Country. AM 710, and we played music syndicated in, but it was on reels, the 4 big reels on this giant machine reel player, and you'd rotate from reel players to play the correct song per somebody in New York, the format. So amazing. This is history of radio. So yeah, 4 big reels, and you'd have to put them on, and then you'd hit the play button, going from 1 to 3, 2 to 4 reels, and that was your music. And you had a couple of inserts for request, but it was pretty much governed. Somebody had tried to figure out the formula. But that was a fun experience. I got my first garb for radio, I think, and that was a satin blue jacket that had my name on it. And I think it was Hank Lawrence, radio name, Hank Lawrence. I had that jacket for years. Wish I still had it, but at some point it moved along. But I was pretty pleased of that satin jacket. Names there. Jay Michaels, super smooth, super talented DJ. Jay Michaels at 710 as the program director. At some point he did a stint, at least part-time, with K92 in Roanoke. All right, so that was that experience. And then I think I did some Sunday morning program also with them, running whatever it was, races. I've run a lot of races, NASCAR, in my life, a lot of sermons. So then I did go to Opportunity, K92. Woo, my biggest stint in radio, K92 part-time, senior year of college. And I was doing my student teaching in Roanoke, Virginia, at one of the high schools, William Fleming High School. And I worked part-time at K92, running the board for some shows on Sunday or Sunday evening. And then also eventually I might run a show, countdown, and then I might have 2 hours and I'd be DJ. So I did some DJ experience there, late night and so forth. Good experience. And I also helped with the promotions, $10 an hour. I said $10 an hour back in the late 80s. So did that, and that was just a great experience. Name dropping, I want to drop some names. Russ Brown, PD, Don O'Shea, Bart Prater, Gina St. John, and wasn't it Eddie? I think Eddie in the morning on K92. Yeah, I'm missing a couple of names at K92. Don't get old. So much fun at K92. Hated to leave it just in transition, graduating and saying, hey, where am I going to teach? And my first, I'm sorry, I missed it. And coming home from college one summer to Richmond, I did a stint working for WXGI AM 950 Bluegrass. If they'd hire me, I was not necessarily going for the music, but I guess I got introduced into some bluegrass and did some board op for them, a couple hours of a show, but a summer experience as I was home and then going back to Virginia Tech. Interesting. Ran the board. Let me see. It was that. Oops, I missed something. In high school, also my mom helping, we'd hang out at WRVA Q94, and but my mom hooked up. So thank you, Mom. Love you, Mom. Mom hooked us up, Tim and I, and I'd go, but both of us would go some. Big John Trimble ran the trucker show overnight on WRVA, but there was a studio in the truck stop across from King's Dominion, Doswell, Virginia. And he had a studio. WRVA put a studio in there for Big John Trimble. And we'd hook up with John on Interstate 95 or maybe at the station, and he'd drive us there. And then the next day, we'd be up all night, or maybe we get a couple hours of sleep. And the next day, we'd enjoy King's Dominion. We had season passes. We'd enjoy King's Dominion, and then my mom or my dad would drive and pick us up. What an experience. Big John Trimble, great voice. I remember he smoked a lot of cigarettes. I think I got that right. And has passed. But that was part of my radio history and big memory. Asked John a lot of questions. He taught me a few things. But he was just nice enough to let us hang out. And for some reason, my parents thought that, we'll drop them off and then we'll pick them up the next day. But that was fun. That was a good experience. Big John Trimble. Look that up. WRVA trucking show. All right. Where are we at? Here we are. Graduated from Virginia Tech for a teaching position in Edenton, North Carolina. Northeastern corner of North Carolina. Taught high school there 9 years. On the first day of my interview, I went to interview for the teaching position. Also went to the radio station that was there, WZBO, AM and FM. And it looked like an open door. They could use some part-time help, and it ran board. Eventually, I did some DJing, and that spanned a number of years. So it became Rock 102. It was Z102 before that, but it was the only radio station that had listeners. Again, Edenton, a town of 5,000 people. And then, eventually a gentleman came in and he bought the station, Rick Lesh. We became friends. I was working there part-time. We became friends. I was a teacher. I had a house at that time. He needed somewhere to stay. We became roommates. And I really became a boarding house somewhat. somewhat for some DJs coming in from out of town. Again, we were in northeastern corner. Some DJs might live in Chesapeake, Virginia, or maybe Greenville, and they'd work there part-time or something on the weekend. So that was just a real neat experience. Rick Lesh was a godsend for learning, and he'd ask me questions, I'd ask him, and he was just willing to answer any question. And he really allowed me to be his shadow at times, learning, and that was an exciting point. Rick, you deserve a big thank you, and great friends. He was in my wedding, and we still keep in touch here and there, but a real passion. Part three, my history in radio. Where were we? I think we were talking about Edenton, North Carolina. Rick Lesh bought the station. Later, he becomes East Carolina Radio and owns about 7 stations, including The Shark, including Dixie 105 out on the Outer Banks, and a number of other stations. Has been very successful. He's a workaholic pretty much, but he'll work hard, and he'll play hard. So we had a great time and great friend and great friendship. So ZBO, at some point, after teaching, I worked for Rick for 3 years selling radio advertising. Enjoyed it. He certainly helped me during those years. Just on how he was going to structure, how he could guarantee me some dollars to pay some bills, but enjoyed that. I have camped out, lived out on living and dying by car dealerships and the amount of money they spend in advertising. That's a big part of trying to go after the clients with big purses in terms of having the dollars to be consistent. I remember that 3 years doing that. Enjoyed that experience. Great staff. Edenton, Elizabeth City, eventually the Outer Banks. Now, I did some radio DJing in Edenton and Elizabeth City, KISS 97, and the AM there also. So, busy, but busy in sales too. The priority was sales and promotions. And never went to the Outer Banks to DJ. It's about an hour and a half away. Never made that commitment. Thought about it often, but did not drive an hour and a half to work a part-time shift and not make a lot of money. So never made that happen for Dixie or the Shark, one of my favorites. So then, let me see. I became then I transitioned. I became a claims adjuster. For Farm Bureau. Big transition. A claims adjuster for North Carolina Farm Bureau for 9 years, and also had a daughter. She's 24 now, and so I was busy. So did not work radio. Hung around here and there, but did not work it. And so we moved as a claims adjuster, moved from Edenton to Cary, North Carolina. Wanted a job change, transition, hopped around about 2009, recession and a number of things going on. And one of the stints I did is I tried to sell advertising radio for Curtis Media Group in Raleigh. Neat experience. It was tough to get a business, local business, to spend $10,000 for a radio campaign in tough times coming out of the recession. So that didn't happen long term, but that was my focus. I didn't try to be on the air or didn't go down that path because I was focusing on the priority of sales. I think a couple of friendships, just people knowing my radio experience. So Raleigh, I made some friends in radio and so forth, but again, did not go down that avenue. That was Curtis Media Group 102.9, Kicks 102.9, or maybe it was identified something else at that point, but it was 102.9. Names there, no, I don't think they're, of course, Jan, okay, names. But yeah, a few people in the radio arena of Curtis Media, of course, eventually, or owning in that group, QDR comes to mind. QDR, and they own a lot of stations, not only in Raleigh. So then in about 2011, having not been touched radio for a number of years, but I was in a bar, a restaurant, enjoying local music, looking around, saying, this band is great. I love music. This band is great. Why is the dance floor empty? And there's a lot of empty seats. And I said, holding my cell phone, I said, I think I can help this. I said, pictures, videos of bands, of local music. Let's fill some seats. Let's show people what they're missing. Maybe I'll get more people out. That's what it really became my radio station on social media, okay, as I was sharing pictures, videos, different, but really in my head, that's how I had it. It's my radio station. I became the personality of that. My wife and I and a number of people before her, all volunteers, but we just share, promote, push local music across North Carolina. Bands and clubs, website now, ncbandsandclubs.com. We have 25,000 followers and growing across the state of North Carolina. And that really is our mission. And we're showing people the excitement, the energy of it, but also what they're missing. I hope they'll go out next weekend, or it happens almost every night of the week, karaoke and all the music events and so forth. So that became my passion, and have a volunteer team. And, for 12 years, I was out every Friday, Saturday night, and still are out a lot. It's still what I'm doing. But that really was my transition, and my passion took from the DJ experience to social media, sharing pictures, videos. We do a list of where to go this week and what bands are playing. I did that on video for years and years and years. Now it's transitioned to a list format on the website, etc. But all right, so we've just had 3 parts, right? My background, my history, and my passion for radio, passion still for friends and radio. I still make calls. I still introduce myself to radio folk in Greenville, in Raleigh, and we're lucky we have property in Beaufort, Atlantic Beach, and have some radio interest down there as people that I love, and growing friendships, I think even in the years to come. So looking forward to it. Hey, it is documented now, 3 parts, my love, my passion, my role, small roles, but my passion for radio. I love it. Radio is red hot. It's not going anywhere, and what an experience it has been. So now it's on YouTube somewhere. Probably YouTube as related to NC Bands and Clubs, I think, is the identification of the YouTube channel.